guys. I'm bumping up the volumes so that we can start up. And ta-da, there we are. We are ready to roll. So,
Awesome.
aha. And hello and welcome again, travelers, to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. Today we are doing our Around the Hearth. This might become a regular thing, it might not. We'll see how things go. But we wanted to do a chat today because, well, I didn't get to game, so I wanted to do something this week. Nerdy type stuff related. So we're going to do that, and we're going to go over some of our many media influences that we have from just different portions of the game, portions that seep into our game. We're gonna go with print media first, then move to TV, movies, video games, and maybe branch into people at the end, depending on how much time we have. So, let me see. Let's do print media first. So I'll say, Joel, what are some print medias that you found inspirational for your games, whether you've ran them or you've made characters or anything? And it can be novels, manga, comic books, short stories, anything.
Well, the thing that kind of got my interest was I ended up with a book.
Oh,
The older crowd might recognize it, and some of them might not.
what was the book? You cut out for a second.
It's called In Search of Adventure.
Oh,
Well, this kind of is where this was the thing that really got my appetite into me. And some of you might, it's the old B campaign, Dungeons and Dragons,
that's
and I acquired that book, and it really kind of just kind of started the whole thing for me.
That's cool. I haven't gotten a lot of the actual adventures that have struck me in, probably because I didn't start gaming this way until after I was already interested in gaming that way in general. So that is different than I started.
Hmm.
And I mean, really, all that is adventures, an adventure path. And I mean, it's not a story or anything like that. It's actual gaming material, but
Yeah. Well, what about
yeah, I mean, that was kind of my first rush.
cool,
Hmm.
cool. What about you, Colin? Did you get struck literally the same way? Did you get a hold of an adventure, or did something go on otherwise that have influenced your gaming, literary wise?
You know, for me, literary, probably the biggest influence would be Shakespeare and Tolkien.
Okay, Tolkien I get. Shakespeare
So,
I can kind of understand.
so for me, it was I studied a lot of Shakespeare in high school, like a lot of Shakespeare. I read like three or four different plays, which isn't a lot in comparison to how many he's written, but for high school, that's a fair amount of Shakespeare reading. And that's in addition to several poems that he's done. And for me, it just sort of got me interested in the mythical fae creatures that there were out there. And that became a big influence. And then also in The Tempest, talking about Prospero, he's sort of a wizard sorcerer type, which does a lot of stuff with illusion. And that was very interesting, especially to see that is a uh, positively portrayed character in a time when magic was looked down upon and seen as evil and the devil or whatever.
Right. You'll find that while that was the case and is proposed historically as being, oh, the witch hunts and stuff, they sure had an awful lot in their fiction about good witches, and their legends had a lot of stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
their fiction doesn't always follow social norms, which is not necessarily bad.
But it was really cool. And then I don't think Tolkien needs much explaining. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit.
Yeah.
But they're very good books, very adventurous.
All right. Now, Alex already told us kind of that he's not an avid reader. So, is there anything you want to throw out there, Alex, as far as print media is concerned, that's been really good for you in your games?
I've read several books of the Horus Heresy series, and that's a tough read, which is just stupid of me to read it then, because I don't fancy reading all that much. But it has some really epic stories and characters and such. Generally, I don't think there's a book that has influenced my game, like individually, specifically. I think it's just, I mean, I might draw some inspiration from here and there, but I'm not sure where it originates from exactly.
All right. Well, something that I know that has influenced myself literarily and has definitely contributed to the games, especially as my players can attest to, is the J.R.R. Tolkien and stuff like that. But Lovecraft really has a big influence on my game.
Yes.
And the way I present them, it was done before we were recording and everything, but the dream sequence that was done in the town of Lachrymos on Sosnak Ra, on the continent of Nam Silfed, it was definitely a very dream house or Dream Quest of Kadath type situation going on, and I don't think it's troubled my players much. They did kind of give me some flack about, oh, we know it's gonna be some kind of Lovecraftian thing, but that was the cataclysm that they were trying to prevent in the first place, or at least deal with.
I mean, other than the overabundance of tentacle monsters, I mean,
Yes.
Yeah,
They look at you, Kane. I know you're not here, but
Yeah.
I mean, being used to
Kane is-
40k and the grim darkness of the far future, it's all grim dark and dark grim, so it's no problem.
Yeah. So that is a thing. He's definitely influenced my style. Also, Robert E. Howard with the Conan the Barbarian books. I found them very good. His adventures are very good for giving you aspects of a barbarian that is not, like, as strange as it sounds. The Conan the Barbarian movie from the 80s, the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, that's actually closer to the books than a lot of these newer versions have gotten, because they try to make Conan, I don't know, just more of a modern feel to Conan, when he's really got a timeless kind of barbaric, not civilized feel, and yet civilized because he's got certain things he holds himself to. He's not specifically a barbarian as you would give him a class, but he does have aspects of a barbarian with rage, but also roguey types of situations going on. So there's that play back and forth of that character and the skills being present and used. And you don't get his story in chronological order. You get bits of it back and forth. So it is definitely a series I recommend, along with I recommend it for anybody that's going to try and play a barbarian, so that they don't play the barbarian as a one-dimensional barbarian. I didn't use it specifically with Bane, but my Pigman skin changer barbarian, that was in the Wildheart campaign.
Wildheart.
Yeah, I remember. I made myself remember. He's not just somebody who likes to beat stuff. Made sure to give him flaws outside of that because I remembered reading about Conan the Barbarian and stuff like that, and how interesting that was versus a one-dimensional character. So that's a book that's definitely helped me out. There's of course lots of different manga you can go with, and lots of people build superheroes, especially if you're going to play things like the Fate system works well with superheroes. The D20 Moderns work all right. Different systems like that. There's trying to think of it. There's another Mutants and Masterminds. Those work well. The Dragon Lances. Yes. Thanks for bringing those up, Joel.
Yep. Dragonlance, a lot more of those than I thought I did. With the standard like Weiss and Hickman being some of the more prevalent writers in that series.
Right.
Actually, I believe they were kind of creators of that particular setting.
From my understanding, yeah, they were connected to D&D originally some way, and they had they would kind of write down or work through the adventures of their different playthroughs of different modules, but they would do it in their setting, and that's where the Dragonlance came from. I mean, you of course got the Forgotten Realms ones with Ed Greenwood. You got the Margaret Weiss and Hickman. I have not read Earthsea, but I have heard that it is good.
Earthsea is amazing.
Well, there you
go. Lloyd Alexander, The Book of Three. You guys might recognize more the Disney take on it, The Black Cauldron.
Yes, I haven't read The Black Cauldron, but I've watched the movie. But we're not TV or movies yet, so I'm not going to say anything about it.
Well, I mean, before the TV and movies, there was the books, so.
Right.
The Black Cauldron is really a good series. Or the Prydain.
Prydain, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I definitely.
And then I've always liked Rogue, so The Legend of Nightfall.
Right, and is that a series, or is that a set from a setting?
I think there's 2 or 3 books, and they got kind of like a unique take on magic. Like wizards have to kind of kill people that are talented in order to like use their soul to have these different magical effects, and everybody's magical effect is different.
Yeah. That reminds me of something I want to talk about.
Those are all good books.
When we get to the video game part. But yeah, I like these books quite a bit that you're putting up here. I've never read the Prydains, but I want to read the Prydains. Now I have read, for those that tried to tune in for the talk we tried to have about the possible Dragonlance movie, but I didn't have the audio worked out right on the broadcasting software. I do apologize for that, but I have read all the ones they're trying to put into a trilogy, which is Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Winter Night, and Dragons of Spring Dawning. All of those are by Margaret Weiss and Hickman, and those books, if you want to see where classic fantasy tropes came from, like the more modern ones, not the Tolkien ones, because Tolkien tropes are a bit different than modern fantasy tropes. that's kind of where they came from and originated in that type of feeling and setting, and then of course others with Ed Greenwood and things like that coming around the same era. Each of those are what set the standard for your current D&D/Pathfinder type of game. Was those different types of elves, different things going on with dragons, how dragons were smart, intelligent, and important to the world, and all that type of stuff. So there is definitely credence there to going back and looking at that older fantasy to get a better understanding of why fantasy does what it does today, especially. And if you want to include those or exclude those from your games. All right, so any more stuff on printed media?
I don't know if anybody's read any like the periodicals like Dragon Magazine or Dungeon Magazine. They were kind of a big thing when I was younger. I think they went completely to electronic media now.
I think you're right. I don't think they're print anymore, which is kind of sad. I do like to have a printed copy of things, but they do definitely have value. Before going out, there's always those things of I forgot to mention the basic ones like Grimm's fairy tales, the real Grimm's fairy tales, not the ones where you get pretty
fancy ones.
Yeah, because Sleeping
Aesop fables and
those classic things that you see in children's storybooks are actually really good for setting up, especially one-shots, because they're so quick and simple in the stories. It can make a big difference and be very helpful for setting those up. 1 or 2 shots. Like Little Red Riding Hood could be a single one-shot really easily.
Yeah, I remember watching the play, actually, Into the Woods. And that was sort of my first exposure to the Grimm fairy tales. I know it's not exactly the same, but it's much, much closer than Disney is.
Yeah. And remember, those Grimm fairy tales, they are kind of grim for
they are
fun to
very
be played.
grim.
So
what about from across the pond there, Alex? Any unique fables to the area or
I mean, we have a lot of trolls. That's like the main fantasy things.
Yeah, but your
trolls that live inside mountains and such.
Yeah, your trolls are different than what we see in like D&D and stuff, correct? They're more like a mix between giants.
Yeah, they're more smaller giants that have like often great wealth or riches, and they possess magic, which, you know, they're no wizards or anything. Humans does not possess magic in tales, so to speak.
So that actually does bring up a good point when you're looking at printed media or different things like that. You come across an old story, using that story, like what he's talking about with the trolls, you can throw your players a complete weird wrench into their D&D mind if you throw a troll in there that doesn't behave like a troll is supposed to behave to them. And you can say, oh, that's a troll, right? Or even just the people around that area call it a troll when you've just basically reskinned something, and they call it a troll, but it's not a troll in the traditional sense of D&D and Pathfinder. So using those old legends and following them instead of what was is a good way to get around those players that seem to know what to expect. But
as a matter of fact, troll is like the short word for magic, which is trolleri. So they are like the essence of magic, essentially, but in a humanoid-ish shape.
ooh, that's even
Interesting.
Yeah, that's
I
even
did not know that.
That's even more fuel for a different type of adventure there. All right.
And I mean, Wild Heart was kind of touching a lot of the Scandinavian things, folklore and such, but giants and trolls mainly. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get used to the calling Asta the half troll a half troll and not a half orc.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Because she's not a half orc. She's a half. All right.
Same thing with goblins. They are not small green creatures. They're more like halflings.
Well, depending on your perspective, some people would still call halflings goblins, but that is
Sure, sure.
Okay, so that's printed media, and we kind of touched into old oral legends as well. Now, how about TV? Now, people should have some inspirations here, right? Let's start with Colin.
Mm-hmm.
What are some inspirations you've
Should be
gotten
a little
from
more.
this? Yeah.
Strictly TV, or are you counting TV and movies?
TV, cartoons, movies.
Well, it needs to be something that's on TV serialized. Movies is the next subject. So, something serialized.
Okay.
Because otherwise they'd get all convoluted together.
You know, this is going to sound really bad, and this is probably a bad influence on my role playing, I guess. But as a kid, I really liked the old Legend of Zelda TV series.
Oh.
I'll save you, princess.
Excuse
me,
princess.
Oh. No.
That's never how I imagined Link being.
No, never.
I know, it was weird, but I liked it as a kid.
See, this is why he's silent in the games.
Yes. Because we couldn't stand him if he said that. Oh. So there is that.
He'd be like another version of Navi.
Yeah, he's like a more annoying Navi, if it is possible. He is... Oh. Okay.
But, you know, I didn't watch a lot of TV as a kid. Like, I guess you could say Pokemon and Digimon. Digimon more so, I guess.
That's because the Digimon
But
anime is better.
I wasn't a big TV
Fight
watcher.
me in the comments.
It is. It truly is.
Bears and Smurfs, both of those were kind of a medieval setting.
What in Smurfs?
You got
No,
stuff
never
like
watched either
the
of them.
Sword in the Stone.
Yeah.
Well, some of us are a little older than others.
Yeah. Well, the Smurfs did have lots of... there's lots of adventures like with Smurfs. Even some newer adventures, like... It may sound funny, but I've saw them and stuff like that with my kids. The My Little Ponies. While they're silly, they have... if you stripped away the pony part and added in different MacGuffins, the progression of the episodes have a kind of one shot each time feel, unless they have stuff going on aside from that. And those work. Adventure Time is great in my opinion if you want to look at different ways of looking at adventures that you can have and kind of base around a certain group or a certain set of people without losing too much of your focus, because each of those still focus around the same area. It's focused around the same group of people.
You know, the thing about those is that by the time I started watching those, I was already older. So I already had sort of most of my core influences in role playing by that point, because I'd already done a lot of RP before Adventure Time even came on the air.
Yeah, but I mean, you can still consider that stuff like.
Yeah, I suppose.
Today, I mean, you can always draw new ideas from this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I more like it because it reminds me of my childhood than anything else. It reminds me of like role playing when I was a kid.
Well, if we're going to talk about role playing,
what it makes me think of. It's
and TV that influenced that, I would
Oh
make
my god!
I would make a Dragon Ball Z games we would play outside, type stuff. And I always ran. Well, I almost always the one that was running it. So, and I didn't understand anything about Dungeons and Dragons at that point. But and I did not get that we were basically LARPing, but it didn't really matter.
And you already touched on like Conan the Barbarian. That's kind of a standard for at least fantasy trope and that kind of thing. You've got the foul evil wizard. You've got the rogue type hero. Off on an epic quest for revenge and the mishaps that happen in between. I mean, it's classic trope.
Yeah.
You want to go way back? There's He-Man.
Yes.
Hey, look who joined us. It's Tentacle Man.
It takes a classic tale of rises a people and sets out to slay it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yes, you are right, Colin. I see.
Sci-fi movies like the Alien series.
Yes. When we get to movies next, we are definitely going to touch on that because it does hit my chord of Lovecraft. But Kane is here, right? You're here? As you put something
I am.
on
I am here.
TV. All right. So we.
Yep, that's I heard you guys were talking about my butt, so I just had to come.
This sweet. Oh,
You do have a nice butt.
we were talking.
Wait, what?
Sweet Canadian derriere.
That's right.
It comes in a bag.
Only in Ontario, though.
All right, so we'll get your perspective then, Kane. We talked about print media being how it's influenced different things in our games. Now we're on to TV series and stuff like that, like animes, cartoons, live actions. What you got as far as things that have inspired or changed, or not necessarily changed, but inspired or affected the way you played somebody or the way you ran a game or something like that?
Oh. I don't know. I wouldn't. I suppose like maybe in movies you always have like stuff like Pirates of the Caribbean or I never really saw the original like the old Conan movies.
You've never saw
I
them?
don't think I saw the original till I was like 17, and I only half
Oh my
remember.
god, I saw that when I was like. Probably shouldn't have saw it when I was 10.
Yeah, you probably should have saw that when you were 10.
I saw it when I was about that age. So I mean, okay.
There's blood, gore, and boobies. Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, let's just cover your
I would
eyes.
say it would probably. Yeah. It was probably more likely that tabletopping has influenced my taste in media more so than the other way around.
Oh, okay. That can be seen. What about some series from across the pond, Alex? What are some things that you've... is there any media over there, TV-wise, that has affected the way you've ran or played games or played games?
I don't think so. I can't really
What, you don't have good
can't really
cartoons over
remember
there?
any. Yeah, sure we do,
Probably got
but
one of the same ones, I'm sure.
Okay, well...
but I mean, nothing that's close to like a role playing session or like a adventure like that.
Well,
No.
anime falls under this kind of category too, serialized anime. I mean, lots of people can get, especially people that are kept up with a few of the more recent anime like Naruto, Boruto, neither of which anime I like. If you don't like it, fight me in the comments. And there's...
You know what was a good one, though?
What one?
D. Gray Man. I know it didn't exist for very long, but that sort of influenced how I perceive demons and evil in role-playing games.
Oh, I have not seen that one, so I will have to take your word for it. You'll have to explain the difference in the morality system. But that is something that is good to point out, because a lot of these different bits of media can affect the perspectives that you put on your characters, especially if they're looking at different influences.
The thing about it is evil is basically mechanized in that demons are essentially, or akuma as they're called, are machines that are put inside the skin of human beings, and only certain people have the ability to see or recognize them.
Oh,
Really interesting.
Do make tasty slaves.
And they're all sort of run by the clan of Noahs, which is essentially a pseudo-biblical type thing that's going on there, it's a really interesting, very dark anime series, but it's very good. And not a lot of filler, if you don't like filler.
I don't like filler. There is a place
In
for
fact,
filler.
I can't think of... there's like 2 filler episodes that I even remember from it, and those are very minor and very hilarious at the same time. So
There you go.
You're telling me you don't want subplot within your subplot? What about flashback episodes inside of other flashback episodes?
Oh, those are horrible.
oh no, this is not that. It's comedy is what it is. That's what the filler is here. It's just more comedic moments as opposed to dramatic moments, and it doesn't really have an effect on the overall arc.
Ah, okay. Well,
that's filler.
Yeah.
There's
Another one to bring up would be probably Dark Crystal.
yes. Well, let's go ahead and transition.
I heard they're
yeah,
they're making it like they're either rebooting or they're making some sort of spiritual successor to Dark Crystal.
well, we'll transition into movies
Interesting.
now so that we can start mixing that in, because it is supposed to be a Netflix series, and to my understanding, it's supposed to be some kind of prequel to the Dark Crystal. So Gelflings, yes, Gelflings will be back.
It's gonna be all puppets.
Yes, I saw that. I was actually very pleased.
We'll all be shouting Gelfling for like a month.
But transitioning into movies, yes, things like Dark Crystal is a very good MacGuffin-style movie where you've got this quest that you have to do. Like we mentioned before, Conan the Barbarian. You had another one up there, Dragon Reaver.
Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Slayer.
Which is, I believe, an old 80s,
Yep.
80s movie.
There's another one, Lady Hawk, which I have yet to see, but I want to. I need to go and find that.
Oh my! If you haven't seen that,
Yeah.
Hmm.
But that can definitely influence a game. One that's influenced me in the way I present the horror, and it ties right back into the Lovecraft one, and what you mentioned before was Alien. Because,
Not what I was expecting.
well, yeah, because Alien technically
Yeah,
has a very Lovecraftian feel to it. When you stop and you think it is
yeah,
it's
I can definitely see that. I was just expecting like Cabin in the Woods or something that's very obviously Lovecraftian.
right.
Well, yeah, Cabin in the Woods though isn't really a horror movie.
I think he means
It's
in
more of
the-
a
well, the Evil Dead movie,
the Evil Dead
definitely a
movies.
sci-fi fantasy type.
The Evil Dead movies with Ash, and then that goes back to the TV series portion. So yeah, we'll just have to combine these two segments later as far as breaking them apart. But that visual media of there's so many lines that come from the Evil Dead that just get repeated, not just in our games, but in lots of games. So the Evil Dead is definitely
Groovy.
Yeah.
Good, bad. I'm the one with the gun.
So, yeah. Oh, something we didn't mention along the anime lines was a good ones with good stories are like Full Metal Alchemist. That's influenced some of the things that I do with political situations in games.
Yeah.
And there's two versions. I suggest watching
Brotherhood or
the first one. I suggest watching first one first, because if you come back and try to watch Brotherhood, if you watch Brotherhood first and then come back to the other one, it feels like a bit of a slog
not a lot
at the front. Yeah.
Yeah.
So watch Brotherhood after watching the other one, because you don't have to. There's only a little bit of recap in the first 3 to 4 episodes, and then you start to get into other things going on that's different from the other one. So those are cool. In fact, the gate that you guys saw, the gate inside of Sosnak Ra, was the Gate of Truth from Full Metal Alchemist, which some of you recognized. So when you guys were traveling through the ley lines.
Nope.
Yeah, not me. I didn't watch Full Metal Alchemist. It didn't.
Well, I
Me.
think Alex recognized it.
I only watched the first one all the way through once, but not as studiously enough to actually remember anything.
Well, I've
I
watched.
saw the first one and tried the Brotherhood, but it was just the same thing, but cut from different angles or something. So I didn't finish it.
Ooh, Brotherhood is really good though, especially if you make it to the end.
It does have a different ending. It has different things leading.
Nah.
The late beginning to all the way through to the end is different because they branched off from the manga, as they went on the original, because it didn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
So there's that,
Yeah, the manga artists couldn't keep up.
which is perfectly understandable considering he's got to hand draw. They'd hand draw him a lot of those things, and then at that point they were anyway. So there's that. What other movies we got to be good? If someone wants to get a bit more campy, there's Beastmaster.
Yep, there's Beastmaster. Yeah.
There's
you get stuff like Interview with a Vampire, where
oh yes,
it's more about the condition of being a vampire and that kind of stuff. For any of you World of Darkness fans,
yeah.
any horror movie can tie into the World of Darkness.
Penny Dreadful is good for World of Darkness ish,
Oh,
but that's a TV series though, not a movie. But
that's all right. They blending them together. I'm like, fine.
I'm
Whatever.
kind of vain though.
yeah,
So now, if you're wanting to do that spy type character, lots of people use the James Bond thing, but that's there.
Yep.
That charming character.
I mean, that's always good storytelling, though. I mean,
If you have an artificer like Mazes, he can make all those neat little gadgets for your character. Mazes is the Q of the entire group you guys have going right now. You don't have a bond, you just have a Q. The closest thing you have to a bond is Magpie, and that's kind of disheartening when you think about that being your bond.
Yeah, it's kind of like if 007 was played by Will Ferrell or Steve Buscemi.
There you go.
dare I bring it up, the Harry Potter series
Those are good.
movies.
Those are good movies and good books. I've read most of the book. Well, I've read half the books. But yeah, those are good.
I'm not sure how much they would have influenced our gaming, but all this stuff is good for ideas.
Right. They've definitely had
I
some
do
influence.
feel,
Since I do a lot of the running.
I feel the wider. Yeah. I feel that the wider your experience, the more of that kind of stuff you've seen, the easier it is for you to kind of come up with new ideas or even steal ideas. Not that we would steal anything, maybe just borrow.
Yeah, just borrow with
And never give it back.
I mean, if they ask.
If they ask, give it back. I mean, yeah, I'll go back and re-edit stuff if they really specifically ask. But you know, it's free publicity for them. I don't really
Take what you like and give nothing back.
Yeah, but if you are gonna play pirates, like King said, Pirates of the Caribbean is a good series to go back to and look at. It has a lot of fun things to do with
Or depending on how serious.
Robin Hood.
Monkey Island.
Yes, Robin
Yeah,
Hood.
the old Robin Hood movie. Robin Hood and Secret of Nim were huge for me as a kid.
That's one I was
Secret of
missing.
Nim, yeah.
Secret of Nim is amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't think I've ever actually watched Secret of Nim all the way through.
That is a crime,
What?
sir. You should be flogged. That is horrible. You should watch Secret of Nim.
But I did run out the tape on a VHS of Rockadoodle.
Yeah, has that influenced Magpie at all? I mean, they're both fowls.
But yeah.
I don't know that. Maybe
Rockadoodle!
maybe his showboating is somehow influenced by the Rockadoodle persona.
Yeah, somewhere deep in my latent subconscious.
All right. So those are some
Secret
movies.
of Nim was great though. I totally forgot that was in the movie category for a minute there.
Yeah, we're doing this off the top of our
Also,
head.
you got Treasure Island.
Mm-hmm.
Any of the Earl Flynn pirate movies, any of that kind of stuff. Those were always based on, adventure and discovery.
Yeah, never really watched Treasure Island. I did watch Treasure Planet though, if anybody remembers that movie.
Yeah, I can quote 7% of that movie.
Well, if we ever did like a modern setting or one where there's tech, you guys would probably see from me some similar aspects, taken something along the lines from Akira, the anime. It's
Okay. I'm glad you brought Farscape into one of our games
Oh,
really
yes.
heavily.
Oh yes, I almost forgot about Farscape. One of the best sci-fi series ever. It's Farscape as well
Oh,
as
you're going to piss off all the Firefly nerds.
3 seasons in a movie.
I was about to say Farscape and Firefly. Oh my goodness. Those when I run sci-fi, that's how I like to run it. I'm not a big kind of Star Wars or Star Trek style type of guy when it comes to sci-fi fantasy. I like the smaller. This is a big universe, and you are small bits in that universe. And when you're in Farscape or in, or especially in Firefly, those universes, those settings, you feel that you're smaller in this bigger universe.
I would feel very, very remiss if we were talking about sci-fi and cyberpunk if I didn't mention Blade Runner.
Yes.
And in fact, they're coming out with the new Blade Runner movies, which I've seen the preview. It looks really good.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I reserve.
Yeah, this summer is gonna be a
Yeah, it's gonna be a
real
Yeah.
potluck.
Yeah.
I already haven't gone and seen Aliens. I'm waiting for my weekend to come up.
Yeah, there's
Like, what's the
Guardians
Alien?
2, and then Alien
Yeah,
Covenant's
That was
out,
good.
and then what is it? Is it Homecoming or Pirates that's coming out next? I think it's Spider-Man
Pirate.
Homecoming.
Whew, man.
Not a big Marvel fanboy, but
It's one of them.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's one of them, and then the other one's coming out a week later, and We've got what is it?
This
Something
summer is
coming up.
definitely a movie summer.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Mal's here.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
we
coming
got-
in.
Not actually.
Bunch.
We're talking about
Got a-
movies that have
Almost got a
influenced
full
our
house.
games. So,
I'm
yeah.
definitely not here.
All right.
I'm just eating pizza, drinking a beer, observing, and then I'm going to nap.
Okay. Well, our ratings will surely spike with your beautiful Canadian face now on our chat.
Yeah, we doubled our Canadian quotient.
That's right.
And there's Greg, who is playing around with family right now.
Just slowly becoming a distinctly hoser broadcast.
A Tinkly Hoser podcast?
I'm almost there. I mean, we do have the Upper Peninsula, which is like pseudo Canada.
It's pseudo Canada. I mean, we got lots of stuff done up in there that's it gets really it gets blurred, you know. You start to cross the border and go back and forth, and you just don't know about the person after that because they're like really.
Ma wonders if you noticed her.
No, I can't see her mom.
Hey, notice.
She could tell. You can tell her she's internet famous now. Because she totally is.
You mean people watch?
She says like she wasn't before.
Okay, she's cool. All right, so back on track. Back
Actually,
on
it's kind of odd to see the sun shining around.
Movies, etc.
movies and etc. So back to movies, things that have influenced. Oh, I was thinking of one just a minute ago that I needed to put in there. It was for sci-fi. We mentioned Blade Runner and things coming up. Oh, that's what it was. The Marvel movies, as far, there's lots of good Marvel movies, but if you want to know how to really, for people that are struggling to work a story around to have multiple characters, watch the Avengers movies. They do a fairly good job of weaving those characters together, as well as giving them each face time. And also, they do it better than I think the X-Men movies did.
Oh yeah.
The first Avengers was a lot better than the latter two.
Yep, the first Avengers is the one that you want to look at.
And those were good too.